Hello to all my new teachers out there. I have got 10 tips for you for the beginning of this school year. It's time to teach. Hey everybody, do you feel a little overwhelmed thinking about all the things that you have to do with the new school year right around the corner? Well, today I have 10 tips that I created specifically for new teachers. I'm sure that these will help any teachers out there, but I thought about when I was a new teacher about 11 years ago. However, I think these will be great tips for you to help you out with that first week. Okay, so starting with number one, I'm looking down at my notes. So for number one, something that's really important, you want to make sure that you introduce yourself to the office staff, the janitorial staff, and the cafeteria staff. This is very important. When you're there working in your room prior to school starting, go up to the office staff, just say, "Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm a third grade teacher. What's your name?" And just make sure you know their names, because believe me, throughout the year, you are going to be asking your office staff, your cafeteria staff, and your janitorial staff for help on a regular basis. Be nice to them, be helpful, be kind, introduce yourself. That is very important. So that's tip number one. And tip number two, when in doubt about something, ask. Do not go to a bunch of different people and everyone's going to give you a different answer. So my point is, go to the source. So if it's a question about your classroom setup, ask the janitor or the custodian, whichever your school calls them. So if it's an admin question, ask your admin. If it's a question about attendance, go to the attendance secretary. If it's a question that you in regards to allergies, go to the nurse. So when in doubt, always ask, but go to the source. Don't ask a bunch of people. You're going to get all these different answers. You're going to get just a lot of random opinions. Just go to the source. It's so much easier. Okay? All right. Tip number three, get familiar with the layout of your school before the first day of school. This is very important. So you are going to want to give your kids a tour on the first day. So you need to make sure that you ask for a tour from another teacher that's been there for a long time, or you just go walk around yourself. So you want to know where the specialists are, each specialist, art, PE, music, library. You want to know where the staff bathrooms are, the kids' bathrooms, and the water fountain closest to your room. And you also want to make sure where recess is and where the cafeteria is. And another thing, you definitely want to make sure you know where you pick up your kids and where you take them to dismissal. So these are very important. So make sure that you know the layout of your school. Okay. Tip number four, test all of your technology in your classroom. So when you are in there setting it up, make sure that you know how to use your projector, you know how to use your document camera, you know how to use your desktop computer or laptop and how it connects to all of these other pieces, and you know how to use the student computers, and you know how to log into them. So all of this is very important. And again, going back to your classroom setup, you want to make sure you know where your whiteboard is going to be, and you want to make sure you turn that on, look at everything, looking down at the floor like your whole group instruction, see where the whiteboard is on the board or your projector or however it's set up, and make sure there's enough room for the students for them all to see and nothing is in the way. So you want to turn it on, make sure you have room to sit in that area. So make sure all the technology you can access and that it's right there in front of you, and you know exactly how everything works, how to go from the different inputs. Ask your fellow teachers, ask tech to come in and give you like a quick lesson, because going from the document camera to the whiteboard, those are things that you're going to have to practice and make sure that you know how to do. So setting up your technology and knowing your usernames and passwords for everything is very important before the first day of school. Okay. Tip number 5. This is probably going to sound petty. However, this is something that's very important because I've been at my school. This will be my 3rd year coming up. And the first day I did not know how to take attendance. And I've been a teacher, like I said, for almost 11 years. And every time you go to a different school, their attendance program is different and the report card system. And I realized I didn't know how to do it. So prior to the first day of school, make sure you know how to take attendance and you know how to take lunch count because every school does it different. Okay, let's see. Number 6, your classroom layout at this point right now is more important than your decor. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, Stacy, I want to decorate. And I totally understand. I love to decorate too. However, one of the best books that I ever read when I was first becoming a teacher is the Classroom Management book by Harry Wong, The First Days of School. That's the title. And he talks so much in that book about focusing on your classroom layout over the decor. You want to make sure, like when we were talking about the technology, that everything is set up where your students can fit. Like if you're using chairs, you actually want to sit in the chair and make sure there's enough room behind. Like if they're in groups, that you have room to walk around. Or if you're doing flexible seating, you want to make sure that the students are able to see the projector, that nothing's in their way. You also want to make sure that there's no places for the children to hide. You want to have an access point where you can see all children, when you're working with a small group. You want to be able to see in all directions. So your classroom layout, where your students line up, where your students come in the morning, what do they do? You want to make sure that goes in routines and procedures, but you want to make sure that there's just easy access to everything. Everything is visible. Your classroom layout is very, very important. Okay, so work on that over your decor, and then the decor can come once you have everything in place. Okay. Let's see. Tip number 7, make sure that you have a behavior plan from the very first day. Okay. This is very important. The rules want to be given the first day and what the consequences are if those rules are broken. That has to be done the very first day. I know some teachers like to create the rules with their students. That is totally fine. I've done that before. Currently, I don't do that anymore. I have the same rules as my other 3rd grade teacher partner because we're departmentalized, so they go from class to class having the same rules and the same consequences. So from day 1, you want to have that behavior plan in place. Please do not have more than one behavior plan. There needs to be a set of rules and a set of consequences for those rules. So if you're using Class Dojo, don't use anything else, or whatever your school tells you to use. And if you're required to use it, then use it, because they might be working on having a universal language throughout the school, which is very helpful when everybody is following the same rules and has the same consequences. So please make sure that you have that behavior plan in place, and please keep in mind the very first day, students know how to behave, but by the end of that day, that first day, they are going to know what they can get away with and if they have to behave for you. So if you say something in the morning and you don't follow through with it in the afternoon, and you let one child get away with something that you said that you don't allow or didn't follow an expectation, you're losing their respect right off the bat. So make sure that you follow through with what you say from the first day of school. Stick to your guns. You're not being mean. Stick to your guns. You have to have a behavior system in place, and you have to have consequences when they are not following those expectations. And I have 2 videos on classroom management, and I will insert a card up here if you would also like to watch those videos, and I think they'd be really helpful. Okay, number 8. Have a script for your day, your very first day. This is something that I also learned from Harry Wong's first day of school. You want to have a script for the day. Included with that script, you want to have your transportation list ready to go. You need to know who is getting a ride home, who's riding the bus, and who is walking. Have that transportation list with you. Have your script with you. Okay, even if you don't even look at that script by afternoon time because you're so exhausted, it is so great to type up your day starting with the very first thing that you have planned for them when the students walk in that door, okay? Because they're expecting you to tell them what to do from the moment they walk in. After you say hi and good morning, you're in charge. So you want to script out your day from the beginning until the end of the day. Have your script on a clipboard, have your transportation list on a clipboard ready to go. Okay, so from the beginning, what you're going to do after they put their books away in the morning, have what time you're going to take attendance, have what time you're going to take lunch count, have what time you're going to put away supplies, have what time you're going to take a tour. Just script it out. It'll make you feel so much better and relieve so much stress. Okay. All right. Let's see. Tip number 9. Tip number 9, you want to review your students' files. So please take time to go to the office, take your class list with you, go through their files and get any information that you can. And I have another video about friendly reminders for the beginning of the week. I'll insert that, or the beginning of the school year, and I'll insert that clip up here so you can also watch that video. But looking through your students' files is going to give you so much information about their family life and their academics. So please take the time when you're in your room setting up, you review those files. It's really important. Okay, let's see. Number 10, start establishing procedures, routines, and how to do transitions from the very first day. So when your students come to you, or after you pick them up and they walk in that classroom, you're going to, this is how I do it personally. If they're lined up outside my classroom, I tell them exactly what to do when they walk in, where to put their backpack, to get a book and pick a spot to silently read. They can sit wherever they want and they silently read. So that's how we start off our day. And we only do that for about 5 to 8 minutes, waiting for everyone to come in from breakfast. So you just tell them exactly what you want them to do when they walk in, okay? So you're establishing that morning routine from the very first day. So when they come in on day 2, they're going to know exactly what to do. They're going to know to put their backpack away. They're going to know to hang up their coat. They're going to know to get a book and pick a spot and read to self. So you're going to have that routine down from the very beginning. Start having them practice your routines of how to line up. You have to show them how to line up. It doesn't matter if it's first, third, or fifth. They need to know how you want them to line up because you are in charge. So everything you want to establish that first day, model it, practice it. Model it, practice it. Very important. Establishing how they transition from putting their books away to going to the whole group circle rug. You're going to practice that. And if they do it wrong, practice it again. If they do it wrong again, practice it again. You have to let them know with your routines, procedures, and transitions that you mean business from the very first day. You have to stay strong. It is so important. Remember, you are not being mean. Do it nicely, do it with a firm voice, and just stick to what you say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't go back on that. So establish that from the very first day. Okay. All right. And I also have a bonus tip. So one more tip. You want to document everything. Have a binder that is only for documentation. So it could be very simple. Make it up on Microsoft Word, student name, parent name, why you called. Just have that in a binder. So every time that you email a parent, every time you talk with a parent, every time you meet with a parent, you document that. Every time they call you, you document that. If they email you, print it out and put it in your students' files. And I definitely recommend having a file for every student. So you want to save every single note, every single nurse note, anything that child gives you that doesn't have to go to the office, you want to have a file for them and save it, because believe me, things are going to come up later on that you are going to need documentation for. So document, document, document. All right, fellow teachers, new teachers, those are my 10 tips to help you out with the beginning of the school year. If you have some tips, please leave them below. I would love to hear your tips. I'm always looking for new tips, new ideas, new strategies that will help me be the best teacher in the classroom. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video to help other new teachers out there. And I will talk to you next time on Time to Teach. Thanks, everyone. Bye.